guys, it's Emma and I'm back today for you with another video, and today we are going to be recommending some romance books where he fell harder, okay? I personally love the trope, you know, he fell first or he fell harder, or both, quite honestly, all right, as unrealistic as they both are. I just really love it when there's like that healthy, okay, obsession with the female main character. I really love it. There's just something so endearing about it, okay? And I have some recommendations here of romance books with male main characters who would literally worship the ground that their love interests walk on. Before we start, I would really appreciate it if you guys would go down to the description box and look at all the links that I have there for you guys pertaining to stuff going on in the world right now. For example, what's going on in Gaza, what's going on in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, what's going on in Sudan, what's going on in Myanmar, amongst other things, all right? So those links will be down in the description box for you guys to look at, to interact with, and to share. And then down in the comment section, let me know whether or not you guys like, you know, the he fell harder trope, whether you like the he fell first trope a little bit more, whether you like the combination of the two, whether you think that this trope should just lay down and die. You never know. So with that being said, let's just get right on into it. The first book that I want to recommend is Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. All right, this is about Chloe, who is the oldest of three sisters, and she realizes that her life is pretty boring. And so she makes almost like a bucket list of sorts, and she enlists her apartment manager to help her. His name is Redford Morgan, and they both start learning more and more about one another, and a romance may or may not blossom. First of all, in my opinion, Talia Hibbert writes banter between love interests extremely well, all right? She is blowing every person in the game out of the water with the banter that she writes. And the banter between Red and Chloe, like, this, I think, is one of the only romance books where I've ever been, like, so giddy in my life. Red, in my opinion, falls harder, and he's just so awkward with it. There's, like, a minor obsession with Chloe's thighs, which made me have to put the book down and take a lap for a moment, okay? The way this man literally fawns over her, and, like, it's beautiful. Okay, so I would say, one, if you're looking for, obviously, the he fell harder trope, definitely read this, but also just for a good romance, a funny romance, like a rom-com. Take it from a genuine rom-com hater, all right? This, peak rom-com. The next book that I want to recommend to y'all is Sweat and Soap by Kintetsu Yamada. This is about Asako and Kotaro, and they both work at this business that makes soaps. And Asako is a certified fellow member of the Sweaty Girl Club, and so she uses their products a lot. And Kotaro is a very fervent smelling expert, and so he and her meet, and they both form a relationship. Now, there is a thing about Kotaro low-key being obsessed with the way Asako smells. There's something about it. I don't know what it is. Look, Asako and Kotaro are probably some of the best communicators that I've seen in any romance medium ever. I would say that he fell harder, one, obviously because of the smelling thing, which I know how it sounds. Okay, bear with me, girl. I promise it's cute. But secondly, because of just how willing he is to hear her out, because she is kind of reserved, she is kind of introverted, and she doesn't necessarily know how to voice what she's feeling. And so he always gives her the opportunity to say what she's thinking, to speak her mind, and he loves it when she gets more backbone and she feels more freedom to say what she thinks around him. And that relationship is just beautiful on a whole other level. If you are really into, like, really short, really easy to digest romance stories, all right, Sweat and Soap is for you, babe. And the steaminess in here is out of the blue, and it will knock you on your ass every single time. The next book that I want to recommend to y'all is Twisted Lies by Huang. All right, this is about Stella and Christian. Stella is a social media influencer, and she needs more followers in order to be able to fully push out her idea of a boutique that she wants to start. And in order to do that, she realizes that maybe some romance will spark some interest in her followers. And Christian is the dude that lives above her, and he's had a crush on her for a while, like before we even start the book, okay? And well, when Stella's stalker comes back and starts terrorizing her, she runs to him for help, and he essentially gives her a deal. He's like, okay, you stay in my house, you know, so that I can keep you safe, because he is like the head of a security company or whatever. And his exchange is that he will be her fake boyfriend so that she can get some more followers in order to reach that milestone, in order to push out that boutique idea. And she's like, okay, cool. This man is the genuine personification of the phrase, touch her and you die. This man is so down for Stella. Stella would say, jump. Christian would ask, how high, ma'am? All right, and we love to see it, okay? Especially because there's kind of like there's kind of a little dash of, I hate everybody but you. Like with, in Silence of the Lambs, when Anthony Hopkins tells Jodie Foster that he's not gonna murder her because, quote unquote, the world would be less interesting without you in it, or something like that, and it's like, okay, no, that's kind of flattering, you know what I mean? I'm sorry, it is. Christian putting Stella on a pedestal, waiting on her hand and foot, and being incredibly upfront with what he wants, like in regards to a relationship with her. Now, don't get me wrong, there are secrets, all right? This book is called Twisted Lies for a reason, girl, okay? But the aspects in their relationship that require Christian to essentially like show how much he loves her, he's very upfront with it. This dude literally said at one point, oh yeah, no, $70,000 for one moment alone with Stella, it's worth it. Go write a check. I'm sitting here astounded, dumbstruck. This book was just so good. Yes, it's over 500 pages long. I have been caught on video camera, recorded, saying that I do not think that any romance book should be 500 pages long, let alone over 500 pages long. I'm a hypocrite, born, bred, and raised. Get over it. Okay, this book, I think this romance book right here, everybody, is worth it. Okay, also just with the fact that the sexual tension in here is wild. Okay, like this book, I would say, is a slow burn, an effective slow burn. It makes you wait for it so much that it would give you a stomach ache. We want to talk about men that would literally fall on a knife for their women. Okay, girl, in that case, let me introduce you to Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Cañas. All right, because this is about Nestor and Nena, and when they were children, they were attached to the hip. Until one day, when they were children, they were attacked, and Nena is presumably killed. And Nestor, bringing her back to the ranch, and her dad, who is his boss, essentially screams in his face and gets violent and is like, what the hell happened to my daughter? Nestor flees. He comes back to essentially work at this ranch, maybe like 10 years later, and he sees Nena alive, and Nestor's like, oh my gosh, I thought you were dead, and Nena's like, oh my gosh, I thought you left me. So, you know, there's that little tension. Meanwhile, all of this is going down, the Mexican-American War has started, and the Mexican ranchers are all trying to get men to essentially go and volunteer to fight the Americans. And Nena's dad is going with them, therefore Nena wants to go along as a healer to help with the battle. So it's all about Nestor and Nena fighting in the war and trying to make it back to the ranch. Meanwhile, all of this is going down. There have been attacks where people have essentially been knocked out cold, and they have 2 bite marks on their neck. Nestor and Nena, I'm not gonna lie, they do get annoying as hell, okay? There are moments in here where I wanted to just grab both of them and shake them like rag dolls.
It picked me up with its mind powers and shook me like a doll.
But I do like their relationship and how essentially raw and human it is, because they do have a lot of shit that they have to get over with one another. And just the way that Nestor is completely smitten with Nena is out of this world. All right, there's just something about, okay? Not only the he fell harder trope, but the he fell harder trope paired with the rich girl, poor boy dynamic will always hit the nail in the coffin, girl. Honestly, another dynamic of not only he fell harder, not only rich girl, poor boy, but also she's very headstrong, she's very fiery tempered, and then Nestor's very down to earth, very, I guess, mellow, and he brings her down to earth. Meanwhile, she kind of lights him up, and it's just really cute to see them two together, you know, when they're not arguing. There is one quote in here, however, that I think about so often that it has lodged itself into my brainstem, all right? And it's Nestor talking about Nena's smile, all right? Quote, It was intoxicating how much he wanted her to trust him, to relax around him, to smile as she used to when they were children, broad and unguarded and sweetly dimpled, her teeth flashing like a loaded pistol in the sun. He would happily be shot dead by it any day of the week. The next book that I want to recommend to everybody is The King's Spinster Bride by Ruby Dixon. Okay, this is about Hala and Meteor. We're gonna call Hala's kingdom Kingdom A and Meteor's kingdom Kingdom B. All right, Kingdom B was trying to overtake Kingdom A. Meanwhile, Meteor was like a guest or like a ward for Hala's kingdom. And so essentially, whilst the takeover is going on, Hala's court members are essentially like, no, you know, in vengeance for them essentially taking over our kingdom, killing our king, and for the eventual slaughter of all of our people, let's kill this kid in revenge. And Hala's like, no, we're not killing children here, not today, all right? Not on my watch, all right? And so she saves his life. And so Meteor's kingdom takes over Hala's, and Hala is sent away to a nunnery to live out the rest of her days, right? And so Meteor grows up, like maybe a decade passes or something like this. Meteor is the king of both of these kingdoms now, and his council members come up to him and are like, hey, we have some rabble-rousers over there trying to put Hala back on the throne, so you might need to murk her, all right? So that, you know, you only have the single claim to the throne. Meanwhile, Meteor is like, I'm not gonna kill her. I'm gonna marry that woman, all right? Because ever since Hala saved his life, he has been head over heels for her, all right? So the entire book is essentially about him bringing Hala back and them going through his people's wedding ceremony. Hala the entire time is like, I don't understand why you like me. I'm old, because old in a medieval type scenario, right? Because she's like at least 30, she's a spinster. She's very insecure about that. And Meteor the entire time is like, 30? 30 what? The 30 jewels that your eyes look like when they shine in the sun? What do you mean? I'm like, okay? Like, he literally doesn't give a shit. I guarantee you, okay, if Hala said, no, I really like the moon tonight, Meteor would do his damnedest to lasso the thing and bring it down to earth so that Hala could get a closer look. Okay, it's a monster romance. Okay, for all my monster romance girlies out here, I'm feeding y'all on a silver platter. Take it. Speaking of monster romance, y'all, the last book that I want to recommend that has the he fell harder trope is Howl for the Gargoyle by Kathryn Moon. This is about Hannah and Rafe. Hannah is a newly turned werewolf, and she is having to deal with the trauma of being turned unconsensually. And she's also having to deal with the side effects of being a werewolf, such as the increased diet, especially the meat, because she doesn't eat meat. She has to deal with the increased speed, the strength, and above all, the increased libido. And she can't have intimate encounters with human men because she will hurt them with her strength that she doesn't necessarily know how to control yet. And so she goes to the Monster Smash agency in order to get a durable partner in order to help her out with the urges that she has before the full moon. And she is assigned the escort Rafe, who is a gargoyle. This book, first of all, has the he fell harder trope and the he fell first trope combined with it. Rafe sees her picture, sees her biography, all of her preferences, her likes, what she likes on a date, whatever, and he fixes it up to a T, all right? Because the first time she sees him, he's cooking for her. And the first time that he sees her picture, he's daydreaming about her. He's very much like, oh, am I obsessed with her? Huh. Okay, I am. Hey, Hannah, golden retriever boyfriend with the black cat girlfriend, okay? For example, I would do anything she asked, I thought in the background of my head. Rafe's POV. All right, we get double POVs in this bitch. I think one of my favorite cliches in any romance medium ever is when one of them is talking about how something is beautiful and then the other person is looking at them and is like, yeah, beautiful, or something like that. And it's like, ah! Oh my gosh. And we have one of those moments in this book. At another point in Rafe's POV, it says, quote, I hid my grin in her hair, imagining how absurdly perfect it would be to just be at Hannah's beck and call. I think this book is also compounded with just how heartwarming it is, considering that Rafe is always there to help Hannah heal from her trauma, to move through her trauma, especially like in her darkest points when, you know, those memories surge up just out of the blue. It's so endearing to watch not only her move through her trauma, but it's also incredibly satisfying to watch her partner be as involved in her healing process as she is. So you guys, those were all of my recommendations for the he fell harder trope in romance. Honestly, could y'all leave some recommendations for this trope down in the comment section, please? All right, from one starving girl to another. I absolutely love this trope. It's like one of my favorites, and I'm just obsessed with it, all right? Just like how these men are with their women, and we love it, okay? So you guys, with that being said, I hope that you've enjoyed. I hope that you will continue to look out for more stuff on my channel. I hope that you guys are staying safe. And lastly, I hope that you guys have a good rest of your day. Goodbye.